Hi, welcome to Passion for Life with Dee and Friends, and I'm Dee, and I'm here with some friends, and we have a real special show. We have some old friends and some new friends, and it's going to be a wonderful thing. And we actually are going to talk about HIV because it was HIV. What it's
World AIDS Day.
Thank you very much. World AIDS Day. I have such a bad memory sometimes, so I'm like, oh shucks. So, but yeah. So last year around this time, we had some folks, and we talked, and we had a few more. But you know what? What's here right now are going to be quality, and you're going to learn some stuff, and it's amazing. I have to stop saying amazing, but it's all good. And I'm just really happy that I have some people that are in my heart, and I've already embraced my new friend. And so, hi. And well, before I go there, my passion, okay, my passion is to help people to have the best integrity of life. So that's by education and knowledge. So knowledge is power. So at this point, we're going to have some more knowledge, and we're going to share, and life is good. So, hello, ladies. How are you? We're still all these ladies.
Wonderful.
I need some men, but that's okay. Estrogen is good. So, hi, ladies. How are y'all doing today?
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you for coming out. I really, really appreciate it. I know you're all going to be sharing some awesome stuff, and I just can't wait. Yeah. So, we have Cherie, who has been around and helping me out for a little bit, and we have, my gosh, Miss Alicia, formerly known as.
I'll always be Chella.
Oh, Chella. Okay.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm so glad you made it again. And we have a newbie, and that's Miss Jackie.
Yes.
So we're gonna, when we always come on the show, we always share about our passion. So I'm gonna go to my co-host today is Cherie. So we're gonna. What's your passion for life?
My passion for life is love.
Love.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's a really good
Yeah.
thing. It's simple and it's real.
And it's about bringing love everywhere I go. That's my everyday intention.
Right.
To bring love wherever I go, to receive it. If I bring it, I'll receive it.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. If you're who you are. Yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And then we're gonna go to Miss Chella.
Chella, Alicia.
Alicia.
Never rolls off your tongue.
Okay. Well, I'm so happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here.
Wow.
I miss the family.
You miss the family?
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome anytime. Anytime. Because I know this is also part of yours. So tell me what your passion for life is.
My passion is to be able to share the reality about the virus of HIV/AIDS. I made a pledge this year, December 1st, 2015, that every time I'm behind a microphone is to share a little something about the virus.
Okay. And that's why I brought you here.
Thank you.
Because I knew that you needed to be here. Okay. So, Miss Jackie, welcome. First timer. But I know you've been around, so you know your way around the public. So, what is your passion for life?
My passion is really just to enjoy life.
Okay.
Life can be short,
Yes. Yes.
even if we live to be 100.
Right.
So I like to enjoy life and engage.
Okay. Sounds really good. Well, we have some very passionate women here who have stories and experiences, all with HIV. So it's important to share and to give. So I don't know who wants to, well, Miss Jackie has actually wrote a book. So, and the title is?
7 Years of Silence, the book.
Right. Okay. So, first of all, can you get the book anywhere?
Yes, you can get it on ZulonPress.com, Amazon.com, and BarnesandNoble.com.
Okay. So it's your story, or
Can
what?
you give us a little synopsis?
Yes.
It is. It's my journey through being diagnosed with AIDS,
Okay.
and then my road to recovery.
Okay. So how long ago were you diagnosed?
In
with it?
1996.
1996.
So it'll soon be 20 years.
Oh, okay. Cool. So how old were you? Oh,
At the time, I don't mind telling my
okay.
age. I'm very thankful to be alive.
Okay.
At the time, I was about 36.
Okay. Okay. So we're all around the same age here, except for this is the youngest one.
Not that young. But.
You're younger than all of us there. But so how did you? Since you told this story, how did you get AIDS?
Probably HIV through a partner.
Okay, through a partner.
Yes, I was never an IV drug user.
Right. So, how did you discover that you were HIV positive?
When I became very sick.
Okay.
So when I was diagnosed, I was never diagnosed with HIV. I was diagnosed with AIDS.
Oh, were you? Okay.
And that was in 1996?
1996, just
Wow.
before the cocktails came out.
Right. Okay. So you.
They came
so
out
you
in
went,
1996.
So you probably had HIV for quite a
long
while,
time.
Yeah.
and really just didn't know.
Yes.
So, but the cocktails are working for you at this point.
They are. I have not been the best patient, so
Okay.
for a long time I was off the medications, but I've been very blessed and very fortunate not to have gotten sick again.
Right.
So, you know, it's a collaboration.
Right.
My faith in the Lord, and as well as my doctors and,
Right.
you know, the knowledge that's out there.
Right. So, did you ever think to go and get yourself tested prior to the you becoming
No.
diagnosed with AIDS?
No. As a matter of fact, I was misdiagnosed twice.
Really?
And my doctors did not feel that I was in the high-risk group.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time of my diagnosis, I had been married for about 6 years.
Okay. So, did your partner have? Did your husband have?
He didn't know at the time, and we really didn't get too much into how we contracted it. We both came with a pass.
Okay. So he also had it too.
Yes.
Yeah. So was he HIV or?
He was HIV positive.
Okay. At that point. So
But he didn't know at that point. He
Right.
found out years later.
well, when you got diagnosed, did he know at that point, or
No.
you all find out
No,
at the same
we found
time
out
at
later.
that point?
No, we found out years later.
Yeah.
He just dealt with me at that time.
Okay. Wow. So your book, in terms of what inspired you, well, your story inspired you to.
Well, primarily, I really felt that the church was very silent surrounding the topic.
Right.
And as I was thinking about it, the thought came to me that each one of us represent the church.
Right.
And often we look for other people to be in the forefront. But I felt that I had remained silent. I was very angry that the church had remained silent, but when I thought about it, we are the church. And so I had remained silent, and that silence needed to be broken.
Right.
Nobody is going to be as passionate about something than the person that it's impacting firsthand.
Right.
And so I felt the need to break the silence.
Right. Well, that's important. As I said, if people don't know and they don't have the knowledge, they think it's actually all gone. And that's what we had discussed last year, because people actually are not as proactive
They're not.
to the whole.
I think there's this big taboo about HIV and AIDS. Like I was telling you how every year I did the AIDS walk, but I could never get as many people to join me because I had a team. I could never get as many people to join me but a lot of people would do the cancer walk. And I didn't understand, especially people of color, because it has an impact on our community in such a big way. And I guess, you know, to even though there's a lot of people who are out there, because I go to the one in Central Park, even though there's a lot of people that are out there, I didn't seem to be able to get people to be on board about this walk. But I think it has a big impact on the Hispanic and African American communities, and I think we're not recognizing that, and just being honest about what's really going on, getting tested, knowing your status, that's so important.
Now, you had experience also.
Well, I have had two brothers who, one died of HIV complications due to HIV, and the other one had AIDS. They were both IV drug users. one died. He was 39 when he passed away. But it did, from what I understand, my family, the one who died later on, I think 2004, my brother Bobby passed away. He was just treated, he was living down in Atlanta at the time, but from what I understood from him is my family treated him, just didn't treat him well, you know, like, because they didn't have the knowledge about it, and would, you know, give him plastic forks, and, you know, you can't, and it was hurtful to me. Ooh, it was hurtful to me, and it wasn't even me, it was my brother that, you know, they would treat him that way. So I think people, they really need to educate themselves about it, because you cannot catch anything from someone by just touching them or kissing them, or you know, giving them a kiss on the cheek or hugging them, or them using the same utensils that you're using. So they really need to.
It's the fear, ignorance.
A lot of ignorance about it.
And it's very sad, because I watched the show that they had on Tuesday on HBO, and it was about how they have come to find they're going to be eradicating. They feel that it's going to be able to be in a past. They have a vaccine coming up. They have, they found some mutations that people are actually not, if they have been exposed to HIV, it's actually not as prevalent. It's not progressing as fast as somebody else that might have HIV. They found that actually there's some mutation in their gene that perhaps their ancestors were exposed to bubonic plague, which was interesting to me, you know, that actually probably caused this mutation in their genes so that they would not
progress.
Yeah, it wouldn't progress. So they've been doing, you know, like bringing these type of people in, and they did say that they had one gentleman that he had cancer, leukemia, and he was HIV.
The Berlin patient.
Yes, and he actually he's cured from it all at this point.
Really?
So so they're trying to engage what you can't actually do what he did, because he was basically unique, but they're trying to actually clean the cells by putting what is HIV resistant cells into your body. You know, take your cells out and then putting new cells in them. And I'm a scientist, so it's like, oh, okay, that was very interesting. That, you know, how they were taking the cells out and putting the cells back in. So there's a lot of advances, but then they were saying that in terms of in Africa, you know, all the children were coming down with it. So now it's not being transmitted through children, you know, infants.
Mother-child.
Yeah, so that's a progress, because it's still rampant in Africa, and, you know, and then we can say that it was really a challenge, because we, you know, why did it start? Why was it so rampant in Africa? But we're going to come back, because we got to talk to Miss Chala, and we have a commercial. We're going to take a quick commercial. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Passion for Life with Dee and Friends, and I'm here with my phenomenal friends, and oh my gosh, okay, Chella gives this big old story, and I wanted her to just share parts of that at least. So Chella, tell us a little bit about you, and I know, you had family, so just a little bit.
Sure. In 1988, my brother died of AIDS. He was promiscuous, homosexual, and when my family learned of his sexuality and later on of his HIV status, they sort of disowned him.
Yeah.
They turned his bedroom into a dining room. They took his name off the will, and he just disappeared because he felt that the family was not connected with him. And I was the only one in the family that went out to the city to meet with him and spend some quality time and understood him. And so the year before he died, he says, Chella, can I come home for Christmas? So I made it happen. He came, and we saw, because the family hadn't seen him in years, and they saw the gaunt look, the look back then, the buffalo hump, because back then he was on AZT. And my mother, who's a physician at the time, she said, do you have that thing called AIDS? She was very ignorant to the disease. And he said no. He didn't want to tell the family. And to the day, a year later, he died.
Wow.
And so on his deathbed, he had, resumed his legal name because he had changed it because he was disowned by the family. And my mom just regretted all that. That pain was overwhelming. And, in the limousine with the hearse in front of us, she was just screaming that, I need to be in there. I should be going, not him. It's my son. And it was just an experience that I'll never forget. No one wants to ever bury their child.
Right.
And so when my brother died in '88, I had learned that so many of my family, cousins, were living with the virus or had already died because we come from a very alcoholic Latino family that parties a lot. And a lot of my cousins were from the boroughs that lived a different life than us in Long Island. And they just got caught up in the Kool-Aid and didn't know the flavor.
Yeah.
And so as a result, I lost 30% of my family to this disease. And so I became a health educator. I wanted to know more about it myself, and I wanted to empower and be a role model for young people that were Black and Latino in my community because I didn't see many role models where I come from.
Right.
And so over the years, I felt like I made somewhat of an impact. And so this year, I decided to create a documentary.
Okay.
And I began on December 1st of this year.
Okay.
And I have a purpose, a twofold purpose. One is to introduce legislation to identify December as AIDS Awareness Month, not just one day.
I know.
I big respect to the marketing campaign for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You can buy a pink bagel in October, but when was the last time you saw a red ribbon? And that's the title of my documentary.
Oh, good. Okay.
When was the last time you saw a red ribbon?
Correct.
Yeah.
And the other,
I think it's because of what I said. This whole taboo about it.
oh, big time.
We're so
Yeah.
scared
It's time
still.
to get past the
You know?
taboo.
Yeah, it is because
It's been out since
because it's
1981
not just,
or before.
I don't know if people are just looking at it like it's a IV drug user or a homosexual, because there are heterosexual people who have been affected by this or infected with HIV. So that's a good thing.
But you know what? The children, the younger people, did not see, and that's what they brought out in that other documentary I watched on Tuesday.
Yes.
They did not see
The
what
real
we
faces,
saw, okay?
right, of
And
HIV
so at
AIDS.
this point, it's not real to them. It really is not. So it's like it's going back to where it was when we were kids. Free love and no protection, what have you, and then the awareness, the sharp awareness of what was the reality of what was going on out there, and you really needed to know who you were sleeping with, and you needed to make sure you got protected.
Right.
It's like it wasn't about pregnancy; it was about being protected
Yes.
because
Right.
it was out there, and people just don't realize that it's still out there. And just because you're healthy doesn't mean you can get it.
Well, that's why I would say when I posted this show on my Facebook page, the thing I always post is get tested, know your status. You have to get tested, and I think people are afraid to even do that, to get tested.
Big time.
Yeah. I think you have both. You have some that just really don't fear getting it, because they see people like myself who look very healthy. And they say, well, if I get it, I could just take a cocktail.
Exactly. That's true.
And then you
Yeah.
have new medications that are highly effective in preventing, along with condoms. And that's the PrEP, pre-exposure prophylactic, and the PEP, post-exposure prophylactic.
This is all new to me, what you're telling me right now.
It is.
Yeah.
And so you can take a daily pill if you are promiscuous and have a very high, like 98, 97% chance of not contracting the virus.
And what about if you wear a condom? It's a 100% chance that you won't contract it. Am I correct?
Unless it breaks or you don't put it on
depending on
the
what kind of
right, or
condom you
have some
use.
Yeah,
spillage.
because some people are still
Yeah.
not aware that, like,
Yeah.
if you do a lambskin or something that's
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
I mean, I think
porous.
we do that.
Porous.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's you know, oh well, you have to have the feeling or whatever. I'm like, guys, you know, you have to use latex,
My
or you
mind
have
has
to
always
use something
been,
that's not
use
permeable.
use a condom,
Yeah.
use a condom. This other stuff
But we
you tell
know
me
that
about is like so new
abstinence
to me.
is
Like, what?
the only real, prevention
Yeah.
and
It's
protection.
Yeah, abstinence.
But
Yeah.
people say, oh, abstinence doesn't work. No, it's the lack of abstinence that has not worked.
Yeah,
Abstinence has to work.
Yeah,
yeah.
that will work. That does work.
And so, and I think that, and I shared this the other day with Alicia, we have to stop just taking HIV and AIDS alone,
yeah.
out of the context of loving ourselves, protecting our body,
That's right.
and caring for ourselves, not
Absolutely.
just concerning sexual activity or IV drug use or tattooing, but also our diet,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
our
without a doubt.
exercise,
Yeah.
our rest.
Yeah, definitely.
All of it
Oh, yeah.
is
Absolutely.
caring for ourselves, staying away from stress.
Well, actually, I went back to school because I'm so excited about what's going on with my body. And I actually I'm doing, health coaching. So, and it talks about, the primary food. Primary food is not food per se. It's about relationships. It's about your stress levels, and it's about your career, and it's about your activity in terms of sleeping and making sure certain things are correct, and it's all, that's the primary, the foods about your life, and then foods are secondary,
Right.
Because you have to really concentrate on you and your spirituality, and all that is what makes you happy.
I think when you have,
You
you put that first, your spirituality, because that's something that I do. And, when I put my spirituality first, then everything else falls into place. What I'm eating, what I'm putting in my body, all of that
Exactly.
becomes very important. Stress,
Absolutely.
how I'm relating to other people, what I'm saying, how I'm feeling, all of that plays into part of my spirituality.
Exactly.
So that's
Definitely,
definitely
because our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit.
This is it.
At least that's my belief.
No, it's true.
And
It's true.
we have to have temple maintenance.
Yes.
And it encompasses a wide variety of activities, of different things. And not just, so many times when you hear about HIV or AIDS, it's isolated. And it's just that. I saw something on Facebook yesterday, I think it was. And it was like a poster, and it had different things that you should do for self-help. And it was staying away from stress, eating right, having good relationships. But in the midst of that, it said knowing your HIV status.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And when we put it all together, then people can receive it a little bit better.
Right.
But when you say, just HIV or AIDS alone, the wall goes up.
Yeah.
People feel like, it doesn't affect me. I'm
That's
not
not-
impacted
yeah.
by it. And we know
Yeah,
that that's
yeah,
not true.
yeah.
Yes,
No, it's
Everybody either knows someone or that has been impacted
Yeah.
or will soon know someone who has
Exactly.
been impacted or infected.
not. Yeah.
Can I say something about women of color? Next to young people, that's the leading rise of infection, are women of color. Because of the way we're built, we could house more semen than a man can house vaginal fluids. And then women of color historically seem to take care of everyone else and take care of themselves last, if they do. So we need to empower our sisters on a daily about the realities of disease. I just did a workshop a year ago in Valley Streams. I teach women how to cheek. is putting on a condom without using your hands. And when I began the workshop, a woman in the back said, "We don't have to know about this because we're all married." I said, "That's exactly why you should learn about this." And so at the end of the workshop, she came up to me, and she was uncomfortable and embarrassed. She goes, "You know, she'd been seeing telltale signs of her husband coming home late, perfume on his collar, lipstick on him too, you know that song." And a few months later, she tested positive. And she and I have been very close in this walk of prevention. And she thanks me every day for providing her that information. But that's just one person. You know, we think because we have a mate, we think because we have a husband that we're safe. People tell you what they want you to hear.
Absolutely.
And not everyone is living a monogamous relationship. And we have to keep it real. And like you said, our body's our temple. You got to put yourself on a pedestal and believe that you are all that in a bag of chips. Because if you don't, nobody else will.
So true. Very true.
You have to value yourself. And
Absolutely.
value yourself. Yes, absolutely.
And it really doesn't matter what your past has been.
Right, right.
Every day is a brand new day to start.
No doubt.
Fresh and
That's
new.
true.
Yeah.
Well, it's out there to know about. And like you said, people are, why do they have to lie? You know, if you do want to have multiple partners, then go for the multiple partners.
I think
you know?
I think that's being selfish, and you know,
It is.
not being honest about, you know, if you are with other people
It
sexually.
doesn't make any sense, but we're going to keep that thought,
Yeah.
and we'll be right back. We have to take a real quick break.
Legends TV presents Vaudeville Review in the 21st Century, December 5th, 2015 at Theater 294 Route 109 in Farmingdale, New York. Easily accessible by mass transit, Long Island Railroad, all major highways, the N72 Babylon bus right outside the door. Featuring hip-hop, R&B, magic, rock, comedy, poetry, pro wrestling celebrities, and much, much more. Starring R&B pop singer, songwriter Roger Ortega and hip-hop great So Soon. Also appearing ukulele rocker Lloyd Gold, rocker Karine Ulano, Firestone, comedy greats Sherwin XL and Brenda Larson, magician the amazing Louie, poet John Winnell, our house band Alpha and Walter Halverson, mixing blues, rock, and hip-hop in a multi-genre mashup as they perform a great set while serving as our house band. And pro wrestling fans don't miss Rage and Vinny the Guido. Find us on Facebook, Legends TV, Evan Ginsberg, Steve Ludwig, and folks, you missed the birth of your mother and father. Don't you dare miss Legends TV's Vaudeville Review in the 21st Century, December 5th at Theater 294 Route 109, Farmingdale, New York. Be there. All tickets only $20, available at the door, Theater 294 on Facebook. Legends TV presents Vaudeville Review in the 21st Century, December 5th, 2015 at Theater 294 Route 109 in Farmingdale, New York. Easily accessible by mass transit, Long Island Railroad, all major highways, the N72 Babylon bus right outside the door. Featuring hip-hop, R&B, magic, rock, comedy, poetry, pro wrestling celebrities, and much, much more. Starring R&B pop singer, songwriter Roger Ortega and hip-hop great So Soon. Also appearing ukulele rocker Lloyd Gold, rocker Karine Ulano, Firestone, comedy greats Sherwin XL and Brenda Larson, magician the amazing Louie, poet John Winnell, our house band Alpha and Walter Halverson, mixing blues, rock, and hip-hop in a multi-genre mashup as they perform a great set while serving as our house band. And pro wrestling fans don't miss Rage and Vinny the Guido. Find us on Facebook, Legends TV, Evan Ginsberg, Steve Ludwig, and folks, you missed the birth of your mother and father. Don't you dare miss Legends TV's vaudeville review in the 21st century, December 5th at Theater 294 Route 109, Farmingdale, New York. Be there. All tickets only $20, available at the door, Theater 294 on Facebook.
Kibbles and bits, kibbles and bits. I'm gonna get me some kibbles and bits, kibbles and bits, kibbles and bits. I'm gonna get me some kibbles and bits.
Kennel Ration introduces Kibbles and Bits, a brand new idea. It's 2 new dog foods in one. Kibbles, a new crunchy, meaty tasting dry, and Bits, a new chewy burger-style food. He'll crunch it, chomp it, absolutely devour it. Kibbles and Bits, 2 great new dog foods in one.
Kibbles and bits, kibbles and bits. I'm gonna get me more kibbles and bits.
To make the donuts. Dunkin' Donuts are always fresh. I made the donuts. We make them at least twice every day. Time to make the donuts. Not a few kinds, like supermarket. Made the donuts. Time to make the donuts. But up to 52 varieties. The donuts. Time to make the donuts. I made the donuts. Dunkin' Donuts, up to 52 varieties, fresh day and night. No supermarket can say.
Hi, welcome back to Passion for Life with Dee and Friends. And, you know, you keep on missing. You know, we have all this conversation while you all are gone and watching these TV commercials. So we were left off with Sherry. So, Sherry.
That was just because we were talking about, Jackie was saying how there's a stigma that people won't tell you that their status.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was just talking, I have a girlfriend, I actually went to high school with her, and she revealed to me, and this is the first time that I'm even saying it again, that she was HIV positive, but there was other people she told, and it was being spread. But she had shared with me that she had unprotected sex with someone, but she ended up telling the guy later on, you know, but I don't really know what happened. She ended up telling the guy that she was HIV positive. I don't know what happened with the condom or the whole story, but there was some unprotected sex that happened. Because you were saying that people feel like that's what everybody who's HIV positive does.
Yeah, that people who are HIV positive will often not tell. Sometimes you hear in the news about people, like over the summer we heard about a pastor spreading it throughout his congregation. And so people right away think that a lot of people are going to be
spreading it. That means he was having sex with everybody in his congregation.
Correct. And people automatically assume that people who are HIV positive, that's their behavior.
Yeah.
And some people are not like that. Some people do disclose their status because they don't want to put anyone else
but what about,
in harm's way.
Well, do you feel like there are people who, well, there are people who don't want to say because they don't want to be rejected or they don't want their business out there?
Yeah,
well, for that
I've
reason.
met people that have said that they don't tell their if they're dating, they don't tell their partner because they don't want to be alone. They don't want someone else who may get sick. I mean, selfish reasons.
Are they protecting themselves? That's the question.
Sometimes. And then sometimes.
That's why it's so important.
Yes.
Because you never know who you're sharing your body with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be engaging in, sex with more than one partner, or you're not married, or what have you, they do have female condoms.
If you're not married, because even if you're married, you never know.
Yeah, but you I think, can know your partner, and you can know by the time that they keep away from you. If the work hours ain't adding up, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right about that.
But they do have female condoms, so females can, women can protect themselves if they choose to.
That's important.
There is no excuse today.
Man, just put a condom on.
Yeah, there's no excuse today for anyone
There isn't.
to expose themselves.
No.
And you could put the female condom on like 2 or 3 hours prior to getting busy. You know, it's very comfortable, and you're empowering yourself as a woman.
Like female condoms.
Listen,
I've tried female condoms a while ago, but I don't like them. I don't know. Maybe because I'm so accustomed because they came out later on, but I'm so accustomed to just a male using a condom.
it's a mindset, and when you break it down to either exposing yourself or protecting yourself, you're gonna begin
if I had to
to
protect
like.
myself because he didn't have a condom, I had to make a choice. Then yeah, definitely.
You're gonna begin to like it.
Yeah, I still don't like them.
Well, I never, I've been married for quite a while, so I had no clue. But when I was single, I remember this gentleman I had met, and he was very good looking, very, debonair and what have you. We met at a club, and it was like all about partying. He asked me out, and we went out, and he came over, and he was like ready to, and I was like, oh, hell no. And that was before we knew about HIV or anything like that. And it just like in hindsight, I just knew it was just a little too promiscuous. I was like, what is that? Come find out later on, he ended up with HIV, and he died of AIDS ultimately. Because if you were just out there, and it was probably in the 80s, late 80s, so people knew about it. So what's up? Why would people know? And they're still doing it. So it's like, I don't understand.
I was speaking with a registered nurse last night, and I was telling her about my, embarking on this documentary. And she says, it's still around. I thought there was a cure. Wow. This is a registered nurse.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, isn't that sad?
Yeah.
Doctors
Was she older?
She's 5 years younger than I.
Oh.
Because they really don't,
80.
unless they're going into infectious disease, they don't get a lot of coursework when they're in med school.
But you know what? It's extremely sad because, like, the doctors don't focus on nutrition. They don't focus on certain things that your whole body really needs. So they focus on the medicine, and they focus on the disease. And it's only treating the symptoms. It's not treating the whole body. Because, like, originally, well, we know it's an immune disorder. Okay, so HIV is actually an immune disorder. Our body needs to be built up.
Right.
So if you were able to build it up with certain things, maybe you would not have to go, we have a lot of natural things. And if you're eating right, and like
you always want to eat things for your immune system, to build up your immune system.
And you have the right sleep, and you have the right
That's part of
spiritual,
it.
your mindset, and you have to have a positive mindset. Because if you don't have that positive mindset, your body is going to fall short.
Break down.
Yes, it can't handle it. So everything has to work together. And even if you start doing that, your body will start healing itself.
Yeah, the body definitely heals itself because the word dis-ease. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But there are some doctors who do come from a holistic perspective and try and incorporate spirituality, eating right, getting enough rest, staying away from all of those things that we've talked about.
There are your mindset. That's big.
Your mindset, and there are a lot of doctors that.
I think the other thing that's very important with someone who is living with the virus is their support system.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. And in awareness, and not trying to be fearful of it, because it is a disease, just like cancer, just like Alzheimer's, just like all these things. So now it's a virus, herpes. Back in the day when people had the little cold sore and what have you, they didn't realize that's a herpes virus. Okay, and it's transmittable by having sex. So you have to be careful. Oral sex.
And you can, it's funny, this is going to sound weird, but I didn't know too much about herpes until I had a patient that I was seeing in therapy who told me, she had herpes. I was actually going through her list of medications that she was on, and when I got to Valtrex, I didn't know what it was. She was like, "You don't know what that is?" I'm like, "No." And she said she had, and a lot of the younger, she was like in her 20s, and this was maybe 5 years ago, but a lot of the younger generation, they, you know, I didn't, when I was her age or younger, I didn't think about herpes. Like, that's why I didn't really know too much about it. But you know, then I find that you can get herpes. You can't protect yourself from getting herpes. That's the other thing.
But it's the same thing with AIDS,
Yeah.
because it's a virus.
Right.
And when you get it, you get it, okay? It can be in a dormant state for quite a while.
Right.
But guess what? You know, it's still there.
Right.
You know, so, and it will come out when you're not in a good state
Taking care of yourself.
body.
That's the same thing with
you
herpes, because I know if you get, because then I end up having another patient that had it. Then it was like everybody I had in therapy had herpes. Not everybody, but you know, every other person.
It's very prevalent.
So yeah, and
Well,
but
like
stress,
chicken pox.
stress would you know cause them to get outbreaks.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was something
Yeah,
I learned
definitely.
to be
Yeah.
a therapist.
Yeah. That's what the stress will cause you to
Yeah.
have. You know, that's why your body, it falls back. People say stress kills. Yes, it does, because your body is all of a sudden not going to be able to.
It's not functioning
It's,
at its
it's,
optimal
yeah,
level.
it's not balanced, out of balance.
I
you
said
know?
that about me getting enough sleep. I said I need to function at an
I know.
optimal level. I have to
gosh.
get sleep. So
I'm
yeah.
so bad with that too. I really do need to get into bed earlier,
No,
and
I
I'm
have to
like, I
get my
try,
rest.
but, it's
But all
so
that
not
plays a
good.
part in being healthy.
Yeah.
It does.
It is. You know, you have to. So it's rough. It's rough out there, and people have to know their bodies, and people have to
Take
know
care of their
what
bodies
to do.
and stop eating McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yes. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we have another commercial. We're gonna go right back, and then we'll talk about some nutrition and some more stuff about HIV and AIDS. Definitely. We'll be right back.
Why do cats stare when you're pouring milk? It's like they know it's only a matter of time. Time. The only thing between them and opposable thumbs. Imagine that. Cats with thumbs. And what if they got together? Gangs of cats with thumbs. An organized army with one thing on their mind. Cravendale. Well, jog on, kitties.
Kibbles and bits, kibbles and bits. I'm gonna get me some kibbles and bits, kibbles and bits, kibbles and bits. I'm gonna get me some kibbles and bits.
Kennel Ration introduces Kibbles and Bits, a brand new idea. It's 2 new dog foods in 1. Kibbles, a new crunchy, meaty tasting dry, and Bits, a new chewy burger-style food. He'll crunch it, chomp it, absolutely devour it. Kibbles and Bits, 2 great new dog foods in 1.
Kibbles and bits, kibbles and bits. I'm gonna get me more kibbles and bits.
1.3 million women are victims of physical assault by an intimate partner each year. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, the majority of cases aren't reported to the police. Most people who are in an abusive relationship don't even know they're in one. The truth is, all abusive relationships boil down to one thing: control.
How do you like it? My new dress.
Are you out of your mind? You look like a prostitute. We're not going out with you dressed up like that in public.
But what am I supposed to wear?
Wear something decent. You can't wear that out in public. We're going to be late. Get back in there and pick a different outfit. I'm going to go run some errands. I'll be back in 30 minutes. Please be ready, okay?
Fine, I'll change. Fine.
Hi, welcome back to Passion for Life with Dee and Friends, and I'm here. And as I said, we just keep on talking and talking, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is all good stuff that we need to share. But we're having a good time, and it's only like 10 more minutes, so we gotta get some more stuff out there.
I'd like to give a quick AIDS 101, if I may.
Sure.
So to contract the virus, you can contract it through blood, semen, vaginal fluid, and breast milk. Unprotected sex, sharing of needles, possibly through a blood transfusion, and from mother to child.
Right.
So any kind of sex, anal sex, oral sex, vaginal sex, homosexuality, heterosexuality, if you hit it and it's not protected, you can put yourself at risk.
Right.
When you go to give blood, people, they ask you a lot of personal questions. So for example, you go to give blood today, and let's say last month, you put yourself at risk. They're going to ask you, have you had any homosexual behaviors? Have you put yourself at risk in the last 3 months? You may not be comfortable answering those questions to a stranger, so you may lie. And so they take your blood and they test it for the virus, and it's negative. So because you put yourself at risk about a month ago, you have not built up enough antibodies to show that you're positive. Because once the blood is taken out of your body to test for the virus, it takes about 3 months. You're in that window period. So during that time, you're infected and you're infectious. So they give that blood to someone else in a blood transfusion, and bingo.
Keep on growing.
Yeah, so you got to be honest about that.
Yeah.
But they do test the blood.
Yeah.
But they don't have any control of how you answer the questions.
Right.
Women who are pregnant in New York State are mandated to be tested for the virus of HIV.
Really?
Should they be positive, they're encouraged to take treatment the last 6 months of their pregnancy. I have an issue with this because I'm not into drugs, period. And this drug they give is AZT the last 6 months. And AZT was put on the shelf many, many years ago because it was too toxic for the human body.
So why wouldn't it be toxic for the children?
Well, now we have this virus of HIV, and they give it to human beings. And so what it does is, although it reduces the chance of the baby being born positive, it does a lot of damage to the baby in utero. So years ago, a lot of children were born with spinal bifida, brain damage, and so on. The numbers are very low, and they encourage the mother not to have a vaginal birth, to have a C-section, and not to breastfeed, to reduce the exposure. So unprotected sex, sharing of needles. When you pull the needle out of your arm, and if I were infected, the blood, some of my blood will back up into that needle. It's called booting. That blood is still warm and infectious. It has not been exposed to the air. So if I give my needle to Jacqueline, she too will have the virus of HIV because it has not been exposed. A very small amount exposed to the air, it will die between 3 and 5 seconds.
Really?
A very large amount.
I thought that it actually stayed alive for quite a while.
Very small amount, a large amount that's still warm. Will live a lot longer outside the body.
Because being that I work in the labs, and I used to work in the lab, and was told that it was still infectious on a slide, so because a virus actually kind of hangs out for quite a while, and it doesn't die just like that. So even if you do a fixing of a smear or whatever, they said that it's still actually very
because
potent.
it's wet.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily if it's just wet. When it dries, it's still there. You'd be surprised. So it's controversial.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. It's controversial. So you have to kind of really, you have to be careful.
Always use universal precaution.
That's it. Universal precautions. And you have to don't share, certain things. And if, but you don't have to be scared.
Right.
Because if you are aware and you do the right thing, life's good, So it's nothing to be scared of, but you have to be honest, So if you do have a bloody nose at that point or something, and you are a carrier, then you need to be
one thing, my brother, he lived out south, and the one who died in '97, my son would go down, because my mom lived there at the time. My son was a little boy, and my son, he was like, when my brother would get a bloody nose, he would make sure, get my son, get away from me, he'd make him go in the other room or whatever, or something with blood. But my son didn't know at the time, and it wasn't until he got older that he was like, oh, no wonder he would do this and do that, but he was protecting him. But it's, it's very painful to watch family members suffer from that. 'Cause my brother really suffered. Not the younger one, who because he was on dialysis, so he went to cardiac arrest on the dialysis machine. And then my older brother, he's the middle one, because I'm the baby. He's the middle. He just was sick the whole time, and I talked to him on the phone a lot before he started forgetting things, and his mind was going, and he suffered. He really suffered, and it was very painful for me because he was my second dad. Like, he was the one who combed my hair and washed my face and took me to the doctor's appointments when my parents were working, put me on the school bus when I went to nursery school, because me and my younger brother are 9 years apart, so I came later. So me and him were like 13 years apart. So I was very close to him, and so it was very painful for me to see him suffer that way. Yeah.
Testing is the key.
Yeah.
And it's painless.
Yeah, get tested.
And you know what? It's out there. People have if you can keep it anonymous, you can keep it anonymous. You just have to go. There's a lot of clinics out there.
Your regular when I went for my regular physical, that my doctor will always take an HIV test.
It really should be.
But sometimes people don't want to share that. You
don't want to share with your doctor.
Sometimes, like if you work, like if I was to be single still, and if I was going to my doctors, and I want it to be not be shared, because my stuff is going to go to my hospital,
right?
Okay, and they're going to know who I am. So if I wouldn't want anybody to know. So if you don't want anybody to know,
they have anonymous testing, and they have confidential
testing.
testing.
And they have a test that you can take it home too, right?
If you test through an anonymous site and you're positive, they ask you to retest confidentially so that they can keep track of the statistics.
Or you go to the Department of Health, and you can go there, and it's anonymous, but they do know who you are. So but they'll keep it to a privacy. So, and that's important. I know when I was younger, and that's where we went. Go and get our little test and make sure we were good, and and if you're being exclusive, But of course, now you realize, you say, maybe we should have still used, but that's okay.
So what do you think of this? Because I'm very proactive when it comes to these kind of things. What do you think of you getting tested? Let's just say someone starts dating, and they're to a place where they want to have unprotected sex. What do you think about them both getting tested? Because that's something that I'm very, I feel that way.
No, that's how I used to go with my partner and get tested.
Both getting tested. So what you're saying is they have to get tested.
They should both get tested if they're going to engage in that
and then get tested again.
Yeah.
They should get tested, and they should both know each other's results.
Right.
And again and again. Again, Cherie, people will only tell you what they want you to hear.
Yeah.
Right.
So
you're absolutely right.
if they're committed to you and you test several times, then, you just never know when you're going to get caught in that window period. So you could test for 6 or 9 months,
right.
But what they did last night, you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
No, it's
keeping
true.
it real.
And you know what? We only have like
real.
a minute or so left, unfortunately. And you know what? We can do this again, even though it's only the World Day was one day.
Next year it's going to be 30.
I hear you, girl. It's going to be. So we can actually, this group, and we can add some more people to our little group or whatever, sometime for the new year. Yeah. We don't have to wait till next December.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, because this is an ongoing thing. So, right now, because we definitely want to talk more about your book, and we're going to talk about your documentary, and then we can talk about psychoanalysis, because it's all about the mind too, and
Yeah, it is.
bring it all together. And I love you all. So you want to share any websites or anything that we can get in contact with you all?
Did you say the name of the book?
I did.
Okay.
7 Years of Silence, the book.
Yes.
And you can reach me at 7yearsofsilence@gmail.com.
Excellent, excellent. And that's Jackie Jackson.
Yes.
Okay. And Miss Alicia Figueros.
My name is Alicia Figueres. I could be reached at anametoKnow.com.
Okay. Yeah, she has a wonderful show. And we
Cherie.
have Miss Cherie. Deutsch.
C. Deutsch. Wait. Is it cdeutschlcsw.com? That's my website.
Okay.
And yeah, that's it.
So, ladies,
It's
I
been
love
wonderful.
y'all.
Thank you for the invite.
You.
Thank you
Yes,
for
thank
coming.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And so, I won't be here next week, but we will have somebody here to take care of you. But we'll be here before Christmas, and we're here on our little set. But thank you for joining us for Passion for Life and with Dee and Friends. See you next time.